like meeting the guys the first time?
You know, mostly you meet Gene, right? Gene comes back and he gives you advice. We didn't see
No.
Father Gene, you know, he's giving you. Alan, our guitar player, was walking around with a T-shirt on and had another band's name on it. It was another band's. And Gene said, "Why are you wearing that shirt?" And Alan said, "Well, I like this." He said, "Is that your bag?" And Alan said, "No." And he said, "Well, you shouldn't wear that shirt. You should wear your own shirt." So right away he started. But you know, opening for Kiss is.
By the way, he still does that. When we, it's true. It's true. Well, every time we do when we're doing the meet and greet, any of you, how many of you have been to one of our meet and greets where you take a picture with the band? Okay, so if somebody comes back in the meet and greet and they're wearing another band's shirt, Gene will whisper to me, "Cover that shirt." So he does it every time. Like, so we're in the picture and somebody's got, like, for example, Judas Priest, Gene will go, "Cover their shirt." So I'm kind of reaching over like that. I'll kind of find, or Gene will find a way to kind of put her arm across the logo of the band. So you're right, to this day, as far as Gene's concerned, when you're in the room with Kiss, it's about Kiss and not about anybody else. And he doesn't want you coming in with a Motorhead shirt. It's not that he doesn't like those other bands, he thinks they're great. And he's a fan of all these of many other bands. But when you're at a Kiss show, as far as he's concerned, or you're promoting your own band, that's all it's about.
He didn't like that he wasn't promoting his own band. You know, why don't you have your own band shirt on? And you know, sometimes you don't want to wear that. Opening for Kiss is, you know, you guys know, it's hopeless if you're the opening act, because I'll tell you what happened.
Because of you.
Here's what happens. You're on the side of the stage. House lights go down. Boom. All of a sudden you hear Kiss, 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 Kiss. It's hopeless, you know. Our percussion player had a gong near the side of the stage where we entered the stage, and I'd whack it loud enough, hard enough, so everyone would be quiet, allowing us to get onto our instruments and start playing. Otherwise, we wouldn't even get to our instruments. You know what I'm saying? So it was a good experience. You really learn that you got to try hard.
You guys did you get received okay? I mean, for the...
Yeah, we didn't, you know, no one threw cans of beer or bottle or stones at us. Yeah, it was good. But
some bands didn't fare so well. Gene told me when Sammy Hagar was opening for them, Sammy Hagar solo, Sammy was getting booed, and he started like going F you to the fans and stuff like that. And Gene, you know, he said he went up to Sammy, you can't do that to our fans, you know. You know, I know it's tough sometimes, but you gotta be respectful, you gotta be cool. You just go out there, you know, put your head down and go for it. And Sammy didn't want nobody. He was like telling the fans, like, you know, screw you and all that. So they got kicked off the tour.
No, that's surprising because I think that he fit the bill better than we did. So.
But you know, you never know.
Our singer didn't tell everyone to screw off on the microphone, so I guess that was to our benefit.
The best thing to do is, I think, for all the bands, just go out there, play, put your head down and go for it. A lot of times you'll win, you know, you win over new fans. And I mean, we had a band with us this last summer with Kiss and Motley Crue. This band called The Treatment from England. They were pretty cool. They were kind of like an AC/DC meets our early Def Leppard kind of thing. And those guys just went out there and went for it. And I could see that partway through, you know, by the time they got done with their set, you know, they seemed to go over okay. I mean, it's you're not gonna compete with a crowd when they're there to see the headliner, but at least you can, you know, win over a few fans if you at least just go out and just do your thing.
Yeah, it was just a good experience. We learned all about pyro, and it was just really great. Yeah, that was the first playing with Kiss, kind of.
So what was that? You showed me some picture where you guys had one of Paul's guitars. What was that all about?
Paul, somehow we got one of Paul's guitars, the mirror guitar. And we had...
How does that happen? That somehow...
You know, it got left behind, and I think we were doing a road guy a favor. You know, like, hey, listen, I screwed...
Friend.
I screwed up and I left the guitar, so can you guys take it with you? So, of course, now we got Paul's guitar. You know, everyone's taking pictures with the guitar, and the guy who had the gong, percussion player, he was a real character, and he wrapped toilet paper around his head. And you know, he's got Paul's mirror guitar. He's all these crazy positions. But we delivered the guitar, we stayed on the tour, and everything was great.
So you guys never had no altercations, no...
No, we were...
Did you guys ever hang out with them at all? Like ever at the party or nothing like that? Or
no parties.
Were they kind of rolling on their own all the time?
Well, you know, Eric, sometimes you even though you would think that two bands are buddies if they're touring together, or sometimes you don't even see each other because of schedules, you know, or you know, if you're the headliner group, you're just trying to, you know, get some peace and quiet for a while, and you don't want to go out there and watch the opening band. And the opening band, of course, wants to hang around with the headliner, especially if they're Kiss, but, you know, sometimes that doesn't happen. So, no, we didn't get to really, you know, share beers with them at all.
No. Or girls.
Not, no.
I thought maybe Gene would give you some of this.
No, not beer, of course. Coffee. We shared coffee with...
Yeah, usually Gene would try to take people's girls. So. You didn't
No,
have any of that going on?
No girls were with us. So.
I think we're being PG, right? Because we got kids here. A little bit. That's okay. He's like, okay, because my kids are in a band, I want them to learn. Okay.
Everything's great. Down in front, buddy. Down in front. And I would like to thank that gentleman right there for bringing me out here today. It was Eric's idea, my manager. You know, Eric is my manager. By the way, I normally don't sound like this, even though you think I'm trying to sound like Eric, because, you know, I do, you know, appreciate Eric's work for me in the past as my manager. And this guy, he's Kevin, hey, I want you to mix this thing for me, you know. Remember the thing I did for Cooney with you?
Yeah.
He's always turning me on to stuff. So he's my manager. So right now, that's manager Eric.
Well,
But I'm getting over a cold, so that's why I sound like Eric.
well, the one story about the Cinderella thing, that's Kevin worked with Cinderella for a while. I actually helped him audition. He got the you know, to me, nobody gets you a gig. You get the gig because you're the one that has to play or audition. But I did help him. Ironically, both the drummers that Cinderella had, I was the one that found both of them, Fred, because Fred, when Cinderella was looking for a drummer, their A&R guy asked me if I was interested in being in the band, and I was already in Lita Ford's band at the time, and they had just done their first album, and they had used a studio musician, and the A&R guy said, you know, he wanted me to see if I was interested in the band, and I said no, and then I ended up playing in Black, because I thought I was going to end up in Black Sabbath, which I did, and then that turned into be a complete fiasco. And meanwhile, I remember being in the studio, and we were down in Montserrat in the Caribbean at George Martin, the Beatles producer.
He's dropping names.
Yeah, I'm dropping names. Well,
Dropping places.
I'm trying. Yeah, but that was
okay.
That was a famous studio in Air Studios Montserrat, and we were down there doing this record, and we were having a lot of problems. And I remember all of a sudden Cinderella, while I was down there, Cinderella's record went gold, and then it went platinum, and they were out opening for David Lee Roth, and I'm thinking like, and then they had asked me to be in that band, and here I am like kind of like not in the best place at the time. But Fred Curry, he called me up when he was looking for a gig, and he said, do you know of anybody looking for a gig? And I remember telling him, call Derek Shulman, the A&R guy from Mercury Records. There's this new band, they're like a glam kind of band from Philadelphia called Cinderella, and they need a drummer, and tell him I recommended you. He went down on audition and got the gig, and the rest is history. And then when they started having some problems, they wanted to switch drummers, and I think Gary Corbett's one that told me about it. Gary Corbett used to play with Kiss. Any of you guys know, keyboard player. Gary was working with Cinderella, I think, at the time. And I said, yeah, I know this guy, Kevin Valentine. He'd be the right guy for it. And I took you down to their video shoot.
Yeah,
they were shooting a video. Fred was there. Fred was still in the band, but he knew he was being ousted. So I took Kevin down and introduced him to the guys in the band, Kiefer and them. And then Kevin ended up in the band for a while. So,
for a while.
Yeah. Well, we've all been in different bands for a while. But we have a lot of, connected history in a lot of ways, going back.
Eric wants. You see, when I explained this to a few of you earlier, when you're in high school, a couple of years difference is a big deal, because I'm, say, in the band, inside the high school, auditorium playing, and you're on the outside looking in. So it's like, oh God, I want to do that. I want to do that. But you know, when you get later on, and 2 years don't mean anything. But you know, that's how it is. Well, Eric was working at King Instruments, right?
Yeah.
They made horns.
Yeah.
Eric brings me a gold-plated cowbell.
Yeah.
I still have it.
Yeah.
It was so fun.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
Mike McGill worked in he
Right.
worked there with another guy that we know, another guitar player, and I used to work at. They make saxophones, trumpets, trombones, and all that. I worked there for about 3.5 years before I moved to California, and one of the guys used to take parts in there and gold plate them. So I gave him a gold-plated cow. I took an old cowbell and had it gold-plated. But you also bought my timbales that you used with Donnie Iris. Those are yours? You bought those from me. Bloodweight timbales.
Yeah, I still use it. Holy crap!
I remember you came over to my house, and I remember when you bought them. I was living on Tungsten in Euclid, and you came over to my house. I sold you a set of timbales. He was playing with Donnie Iris. You guys know that song, Ali.
Yeah.
Kevin played with Donnie Iris and played on those songs, those hits, Love Is Like a Rock, and you wanted them for Love Is Like a Rock. You remember on the MTV video, the live version of Love Is Like a Rock? And I remember you were using them on the left-hand side there.
I'm learning things. This is wonderful. I didn't know where they came from. I still have
I sold them to
them.
you, because they had these, didn't they have like original weird heads on the top?
They had calfskin heads.
Calfskin heads,
Yeah,
and you converted
but they
them.
were, yeah, they were copper. They're great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Eric. Round of applause for my manager, my equipment agent, my manager.
You should talk about playing with Tommy, because I know you and Tommy Thayer played in that band, a band called Harlow. Did you guys ever hear of a band called Harlow? They had a girl singer named Teresa Straley, was it?
Right, Teresa Straley. Teresa was like a female Robert Plant. She was awesome.
She sounded kind of like Ann Wilson, like Heart, kind of in a way.
Yeah, she was great. They heavily influenced by Robert Plant and Zeppelin. Yeah, Tommy and I and some other folks who were in a band.
Todd Jensen.
Todd Jensen played
Who
bass.
ended up in Hardline, and he played in Steve Perry's solo band.
Correct, yeah.
And now he's David Lee Ross, like personal manager guy on the road.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's very incestuous business, but you met Tommy from doing the demos with Kiss, correct? Or with Gene?
I believe so. Tom and I also we're forming a band with Todd called American Man.
That's right.
That for some reason or another did not take off. But the place that I tried out for that band, for Tommy and Todd, was blocks from the place where I live right now, my house. And I remember going in the room and I said, I don't know where this place is. It's somewhere near Santa Monica, right? And I drive past there every day now. Who knew?
And that was for American Man?
American Man, yeah.
So what happened to did you guys do gigs with Teresa Straley?
Yeah, we did gigs, and
I think I saw you guys play once at the Roxy. You guys did a gig at the Roxy.
Yeah.
I know I went to that, and that was the only time I remember seeing you guys play.
Yeah, Pat Regan was Pat Regan was the owner of the studio where Hot in the Shade was recorded.
And he was the producer
And played
Hot in the
keyboards
Shade.
on it. Yeah, he did not do the live shows. We had a friend Tommy Root play.
Well, he used to be in that band Roxbury Drive. I remember him now.
The encyclopedia to my right.
No, just hey, when you live in LA, I've been there since '83. So after a while, you just get to know everybody, and then somebody's looking for a drummer or something. You go, oh, hey, I know my friend Kevin. He plays drums, and next thing you know, then once he got involved in the Kiss family, then he started doing stuff for Gene. After you did demos for Paul, then Gene asked you to start doing stuff? Is that how that worked?
Yeah. And I was also engineering some of that stuff at Pat's studio. Gene called up on Thanksgiving Day. Kevin? Yes. It's Gene. Okay. I want to record. I said, okay, when? Today. I said, true story. I'm not gonna, I said, Gene, it's Thanksgiving. I got people coming over. Can we do it another? No, I got to do it today. I said, listen, I got people coming over. I can't do that. He said, I don't do that. I said, you don't do what? He said, I don't have people over. I don't know if he meant on Thanksgiving or in general, but he said, yeah. So I said, I'd love to do it, but I can't do it. But it was a funny story. Kevin, yeah, Gene, I'd like to record today. It's Thanksgiving, Gene. Give me a break.
Well, I remember calling him on when we were doing the History book the first time, signing them. We were doing this around Christmas time, and I called Gene, so even the day before Christmas, Christmas Eve, that afternoon, I was over at Gene's house signing books because we had to do like 15,000 or something like that. So, you would do it in, sessions. Sometimes I'd go to Gene's for like 8 hours. And, that's what got me good at being able to sit in an expo for 8 hours straight and sign, because I got trained. But I remember calling Gene on Christmas Day to wish him Merry Christmas. And like, what are you doing, Gene? Signing history books.
What else?
On Christmas Day. So that's just the way, that's the way Gene is. But you know something? I give him a lot of credit. That's why Gene's been successful, because he's a very driven individual. Even like Paul always says, I've never been anybody that's that driven, and which proves if you're willing to put in the time and the work. I'm not saying you have to go that extreme, but if you do put in the time and the work, it pays off. And it did for him, for sure.
Big time.
You should tell him about...
Not that.
No, I was going to say, well, this Kevin played on, so actually fast forward after we both did demos on Hot in the Shade. And of course they did the tour. And then when they went to start working on Revenge, we all know Eric Carr was ill. So I did God Gave Rock and Roll to You Part 2, which was for a soundtrack. So then when they went to do the record, they actually had tried working with Eric, and then Eric wasn't well enough, he wasn't physically strong enough to, because being in the studio, if anyone's done recording, it can take a lot of long hours of rehearsal days, a lot of long hours in the studio, and that it's mentally and physically pretty exhausting. So Bob Ezrin and just the band didn't feel Eric was up to the task, so they tried a couple other drummers. I was playing with Alice Cooper at the time, so and I was on tour, and then I got a call one day. The day I came home, Paul left a message. He was literally leaving a message on my machine when I walked in the door from the airport saying, "Hey Eric, I need to give me a call." So I picked up the phone. He goes, "Yeah, we want to know if you can help out doing some recording." And the original plan was they originally said they were going to have you play on half the record and me play on half the record. They said we're going to have Kevin Valentine probably playing half of it, and you're.
I didn't know that.
And well, that's what they told me, because I was only available for 2 weeks. I was only home on a 2-week break. They said, so we'll just have you do whatever you can do in this time, and that's what Bob Ezrin. They said, go over to Bob Ezrin's house. He's at Gene's right now. The Gene's house, and talk to Bob. So I literally got in my car, went over there. They sat and went through some ideas, and Bob said, here's what I need you to work on. We're going to have you just do, like half these songs. And tonight I want you to go in the studio with Bruce. And I started rehearsing with Bruce that same night. He started teaching me the riffs. So as we started recording, then Ezrin started going, okay, this seems to be working out. I guess we'll just have you playing the whole record. So I said, well, I can't because I'm going on tour. So he called up Alice Cooper's manager and said, hey, we want Eric to play on this whole record if possible, because, this could be a good opportunity for him, blah, blah, blah. And he said, well, we've got a big promotional tour. So Ezrin said, all right, I'll tell you what, we'll just do what we can do for now. Go on tour with Alice. When you come back, we'll resume on your next break, because I only had a couple week breaks here and there. Right. So I came back on the second batch of songs, and by the time we got to the end, I recorded a version of Take It Off, but it really wasn't good enough, to be honest with you. And I knew it right after recording it, and Ezrin just goes, nah, this isn't gonna happen, so let's just call Kevin Valentine. So Gene and I went out to his car. That's when you have those old big type cell phones, the big clunky ones, and we got in the car, and Gene called you up, and I was right there, and he goes, hey, Kevin, I need you to come in to record this song. And I remember getting on the phone saying, Kevin, my drums are set up here. Just use my drum kit. I'm leaving tomorrow. I got to go to Europe. And he came in and he recorded the song, and I was gone.
So, I must say, I would have enjoyed playing on half of the record. But this guy did such a good job.
Yeah.
And Bruce, I told Bruce this too. I just told Bruce earlier. I listened in my hotel room upstairs. It's the most amazing record and performance from these guys right? It's crazy good. Now, yeah.
Thank you, but I have to honestly give a lot of credit to Bob Ezrin, to be honest with you.
I agree.
Really.
I worked with Bob, with Lou Gramm before that, so I knew him, and you're right, he's intense, and when you're doing a track, the guy is so talented. If you're playing a track, right, you're doing a song like when I started Taking Off, I was basically following Eric's version of the song, which in my opinion was good. I don't know why they didn't like it. But I was playing what he played, and we're playing blah, blah, blah. So we're recording. If you get to a point that he doesn't like in the song, he'll just stop you. And he'll say, okay, hit the talk back. No. Get a more energetic fill into the second chorus. So they back up the tape, and then you have to come up with a fill. Now, I have to tell you, if you don't come up with a part, he will.
Which is the great thing about it.
Yeah, so it kind of pushes you to really, search. And there were times when, I don't know how it was for you, it's like you do a fill, it's like, no, that's not it. Do a fill, no, that's not it.
Or be sometimes, that sucked, and he'd scream at you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the great thing is that he wasn't shy. One thing I liked about it, he always called Gene and Paul by their real names. He called Gene Kyam, and he called Paul Stanley all the time. All right, Stanley and Kyam, he called them by their real names. It was great. He just, he had their attention, but they respected him because they know, like he said, the guy knows his stuff. And if you don't come up, a lot of guys when you work in the studio, they might say, nah, I don't really like what you're doing, or do something different. You'd say, well, and you might try a few things, and you might say, well, what do you want? They may say, I don't know, just give me something different. Bob Ezrin will say, play this, I want it like this, I need it more energetic going in the second verse, I want you to give it a little more lift, or I want you to come back a little on this part. He already sees the picture in his head of how he wants the completed song. All he's trying to do is get the pieces out of each one of you individually. So,
And he did.
And he does.
Yeah.
He's going to get what he wants. I mean,